Ambassador Freddie Svane, welcome to Times Now. And it's a big moment coming up, the India-Nordic Summit. You played a very important part last time when it was held at Copenhagen, and you were Danish ambassador to India, to New Delhi. Now, you remember what happened last time, and once again, there is this summit. Tell us, what are your expectations and what forward movement do you expect?
Thank you very much, my dear friend Srinoy. It's always a pleasure being at your channel. And thank you for asking very pertinent questions. This is the upcoming third summit between India and the 5 Nordic countries. And the prime ministers, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, and the 5 of the Nordic countries will meet to take the strategic partnership that has evolved since both the first meeting in Stockholm, secondly in 2022 in Denmark, and now in Norway. So the hope is that the momentum already shapen will be taken to the next level due to geopolitics, but more importantly also due to the fact that India and the Nordics are really aligned when it comes to green transition and how to secure that we can have a far better sustainable development, also given what India is looking for. And the Nordics combined will be like a G10 or G12 economic power, innovation power, and we can be a partner, strategic partner, and a source of inspiration to India in India's endeavor to reach Viksit Bharat.
Yes, of course. The Nordic countries are very far away, but we live in one world, and that world is affected by climate change. Now, the Nordics have technologies that they have worked on, and some of them can help to fight climate change. Do you see joint development in that area? And also, largely speaking, the field of innovation?
Thank you very much. Of course, I see a very, very important strategic movement that can be taken from nice statements, nice diplomatically polished words into actions. As you rightly say, the climate changes are imminent everywhere. You see it in India. You have the third pole, the ice in the Himalayan mountains. It's melting. The Nordics, part of the both the Arctic, but also part of the northern part of Europe. We see and feel each and every day the changing climate patterns. And Denmark being a kingdom, we also have Greenland as part of the kingdom. And there we have the world's largest island with an ice cap, and that's melting at an alarmingly high speed. And if the ice cap in Greenland is melting as it does these days, then it will have a direct impact on the monsoon pattern in India. Therefore, we need to work together. And the Nordics, who have been frontrunners in developing green technologies, whether it's for wind, solar, hybrid, or green hydrogen even, we have a lot to offer. But we are not telling India just to take it. We would like to be a source of inspiration. So whatever India can use for its green transition and the fight against climate, we stand ready, and it's so important.
Also, it's an economic issue. Lots of economic issues will be on the agenda this time. And India hopes the Nordic countries, which have advantages in many areas and strengths in many areas, will invest in India. Do you see that happening?
Yes, I have already seen it happening. When I was the ambassador to your great nation, I was, of course, personally involved in many of these things. And I see a growing interest also among, of course, the big companies, but also the niche small companies in all the Nordic countries. They would like to be part of India's, let's say, trajectory towards a more green and sustainable future. So innovation from the Nordics, very, very important. And I see the Nordics as a technology provider to India. So that's really important. On top of that, when it comes to the economy and trade, we have also seen that the EFTA countries, which are Norway and Iceland, they have, together with other EFTA countries, they have signed a deal with India that will allow for free trade and so forth. A very important part of that. And then the Nordic countries being member of the European Union, we are part of the EU-India Free Trade Agreement, which hopefully will come into effect later this year, whenever the European Parliament has approved it, which I think will happen in September. So India and the Nordics are bound together through innovation, through shared values, in the sense that we like to fight the climate change. We like to improve the livelihood of people, and then creating a far better framework for exchange of goods and services. But it's not just a question of a marketplace. It's about investing in a joint sustainable future. And that is going to be the most important part of the upcoming summit.
You mentioned Greenland, and there has been some talk about Greenland, even offers to buy Greenland. You've come across that in recent months. Now, is that issue going to even come up during the discussions? Because Denmark has, of course, made it very clear it has no wish to sell Greenland to anybody.
Hi. What we have to keep in mind is that this upcoming summit is not the Kingdom of Denmark participating, but the Denmark. So it's for Denmark, and Greenland is, of course, part of the kingdom, but they are not part of the summit. So I don't see this will come up in any way. What could come up potentially is, of course, India has expressed a very strong interest over the years, taking up a more specific role in the Arctic and in Greenland. You have some research work going on in Greenland. And India is, by the way, also an observer to the Arctic Council. So, but I don't expect, and that would be a little bit strange if this offer, this threat from President Trump should be on the table. I don't think so.
The other issue, of course, that is worrying much of Europe and also the Nordic countries, which is why two of these countries, which were neutral for all these years, have joined NATO, is the war between Ukraine and Russia. Now you have seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who you know quite well, telling President Trump that, look, this is not the time for war. The 21st century is not a time for war. Now, surely the Ukraine war will be part of these discussions, because you're not just looking at environment and innovation and economy, but also the strategic perspectives will also be there.
Obviously, geopolitics, the geopolitical issues that we are facing, and you mentioned them very clearly and rightly so, the Ukraine-Russia war. That will definitely be part of the discussion. How is the geopolitical situation evolving? What can we do jointly and so forth? Not that it will imply that India is moving towards the camp of Ukraine. India, and your honorable Prime Minister has repeatedly said this is not an era of war, it's an era of peace. And I think we should be inspired by that. You also have Iran, which is much closer to you, which is also causing a lot of troubles and have a very negative impact on people's daily life. And we saw your honorable Prime Minister yesterday announcing India first. You should really contribute. And I think it's important that we all take part in what can be done in order to cope with the big challenges that we are facing. So I'm pretty sure that Narendra Modi, your honorable Prime Minister, and the Nordic Prime Ministers will have a free-wheeling discussion about what is the geopolitical challenges and how can the Indo-Nordic bloc play a role, of course, in full respect of where you are. And India has a very strong principle, which I adhere to and I admire, strategic independence. So, but you have to discuss it. How can we contribute one way or another?
Thank you very much, Ambassador Svane. It was always a pleasure speaking with you.
I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for reaching out. It's good to hear such a clear, distinct voice from Viksit Bharat. All the best. Dhanyavad.
Thank you.